Alright, so today we are doing an M15 draft. And so we have a pretty sweet pack here. There's really only two choices, and I don't really think there's much of a choice. I've never actually really played with Soul of Zendikar, but Souls are just really good and limited. So probably it's just the best card in the pack, but Triplicate Spirits is like almost a mythic rare as well. I'm going to take the Soul because I think it's more powerful. But Triplicate Spirits is definitely a really, really nice one and definitely the best common in the set. So we'll just note that we're passing that. Other cards of interest in this pack are Trender Frog, which is okay in this set. In my opinion, it's a little bit worse because there's already a lot of X1. So if you're trading your X1 and Trender Frog, it's not very good. But if you're attacking, the card's pretty good. So like in a blue-red tempo deck, it's good. Speaking of red, Portland Marauder is like the best, maybe just one of the best 2-drops in the set. It's very strong. Hammerhand's a lot better than it looks, making something not block for the turn. So a lot of good options in this pack. But we're pretty happy to take a Soul here. It's also good in the green-black kind of self-mill deck because you can just mill it and get a 3/3, which is certainly very powerful. Okay, so here, another really good pack. Person next to us took the rare. The best card in the pack is Nightfire Giant. It just is so powerful when it turns on. Being able to just shoot things down just basically makes sure that you're never going to flood out. And it's just quite large, a 5/4 for 5, so its stats are very good as well. So we have the option of Nightfire Giant. If we want to stay on color, Living Totem's a good card. Sort of middling green card, I think Elvish Mystic and I think Siege Worm are better. But it's kind of around the it's kind of around the invasive species level, and you kind of want those and mix them up. I'm gonna take the best card here, Nightfire Giant. Quick Link, Walk and Turn, Living Totem, Midnight Guard. These cards are all good. But just in case Black Red's open, I'm gonna want Nightfire Giant, even if we're not gonna play both of these cards in the same deck. Another very good pack. The three best cards here are Constricting Sliver, Netcaster Spider, and Inferno Fist. Paragon is good if you're blue. Like if we had taken two blue cards here, I'd be pretty happy to take it. But seeing as we have no blue cards and it takes a lot of synergy with blue, we can pretty much dismiss it here. The best card, I think, is Constricting Sliver. It does cost 6, and it's not either of these colors. Although if we end up white-green, that would be nice, but that's that's 2 6-drops already. I'd rather take a cheaper card, so Netcaster Spider or Inferno Fist. I'm going to take the Spider. It's cheap. It just stops pretty much everything in the format. And it goes with Soul, so maybe we can cut green. But just note that there was a good white card in that pack, just for a consideration. Here, I'll take Bloodseeker's quite a nice one. Besides that, you've got a Soul Artifact, which is a cool combo card. If it comes around late, you can take note of that. Titanic Growth, but I'm not happy to take it 4th. And I also like my green decks to be a little grindier, so I'm less a fan of the tricks. Here, I think I'm just going to take Altac Bloodseeker. I think it's the best card in the pack. And like the fact that it triggers and just stops your opponent from doing oppressively powerful things. Like you can attack into their board, and they really can't block very efficiently, because if you just Lightning Strike, that you just get a 2-for-1 when you kill another creature with the first strike. So they have to play defensively, and you just really pressure them. So it's all around just way better than it looks, and already looks pretty good. But plenty of middling cards in that pack that I would be happy to play with. Alright. This is interesting, because I've never actually seen Perilous Vault be played. I don't know how good it is. It's a mythic rare. You don't see them too often. Looks like it's a pretty good control card when you fall behind. So it'd be pretty good in the green-black style of deck where you're just trying to build a board position. Gravedigger's also good in that style of deck. We don't really have any dredge cards per se. But we're kind of already more controlling route with these green and black cards. Altac Bloodseeker being aggressive. There's nothing really to cement that archetype here. I'm going to take the Mythic Rare. I don't know if it's better or worse than Gravedigger, but it seems like it has higher upside. So the best cards here are Sungrace Pegasus and Satyr Wayfinder and Aeronaut Tinkerer. I'm not a big fan of Oresco Swiftclaw in the format, just because there's a lot of 1-power guys. So the 3/1 is much worse than a 2/2 in this format. So really pay attention to the context of the format so you can decide, what stats are better. Like, Satyr Wayfinder can just block Oresco Swiftclaw and get a land, so you're giving them a 2-for-1, basically, when these cards face off. I'm going to take Satyr Wayfinder. It's very good in this kind of grindy archetype that we're building towards. And we haven't seen any red cards besides the Bloodseeker yet. Green and black look open. Paragon is fine. Grindclock's kind of sweet. You can mill yourself. You can also mill them. It's a good win condition if you're slow. I think it's actually kind of close between Grindclock and Paragon here. We have 3 other green creatures. Paragon is silly good with soul tokens, but I don't actually know which one I'd rather have. I think I'm going to take Grindclock. I think it's a good alternate win condition. Geez, Flesh to Dust. Okay, well that's pretty easy. This is a premium first pick card. So yeah, green-black dredge looks like it's open. So we're going to have quite a cool deck. Lots of rares. Rotfeaster Maggot is great at, stopping the offenses. I also wouldn't mind a Mind Rot for the board, but we saw I think we saw 3, if I remember counting correctly. At least 2. We saw this and another one. Maybe there was 3. So I think we'll be able to get a Mind Rot if we want one. Hammerhand was one of the better red cards in this pack, so good to know. Maybe there just weren't that many good red cards in pack 1, and we did see the Bloodseeker kind of late. Plummet for the board seems better than a Black Cat, I think. Tyrant's Machine, not a great card, but we can pick it up. And we're not going to be playing in Soul Artifacts, so I don't need to pick up Tormod Script. Statue of Denial, I think I'll take the Offering just because we have, incidentally, quite a few artifacts and enchantments. Alright, so kind of a cool pack 1. Different style deck. It would be cool to be able to splash maybe a mountain. If we get an Evolving Wilds and another Satyr Wayfinder. Or 2. We want to pick up 1 to 2 of the Underworld Scavenger. And all in all, it's kind of coming together. I'm going to hide this for now. Don't really think Tyrant's Machine is exactly what we're looking for. Just being so expensive. Okay. Well, again, we have another great pack for us here. 3 cards I'm considering. They're all removal spells. So we have Engaric's Wake, which I've actually been pretty impressed with in these kind of grindy strategies. A lot of people say it's not very good. It does cost 9. There's Ulcerate, which helps us survive the early game, and Flesh to Dust. Of these, I think we already have a very good late game. Sometimes I would take Engaric's Wake here because, let's say our curve was a little bit lower. It just wins the game. And it's the exact type of card I'm looking for in a very, very grindy deck. But we have a lot of win conditions. We have Grindclock, and we have Soul of Zendikar, and we have a bunch of 5-drops. Because we have a bunch of 5-drops, I'm less inclined to take Flesh to Dust, which is sometimes a better card than Ulcerate. But here I'm just going to take Ulcerate. It's going to make sure that we can stop an early threat, kind of stabilize if something gets out of control, and just deals with a lot of problem cards. And maybe we'll table the Engaric's Wake if we're really lucky, or Witch's Familiar if, the other 2 cards get taken. Which they probably will. So Ancient Silverback, Siege Worm, Child of Night, Fester Gloom. That's basically what we're looking at here. Ancient Silverback's a great win condition. Child Knight helps us survive. Fester Gloom's good against the tokens. And Siege Worm, I think, is just worse than Ancient Silverback in this deck. So basically, I need to decide, do I want to take basically my last win condition as Ancient Silverback? Because I think at that point we have a good top end, and then we just prioritize the lower cards, where I take Child of Night to try to get up to these higher end threats. I think I want to take the Silverback because I really just want to take Satyr Wayfinders, and I'd rather have like 3 Wayfinders rather than like 2 and a Child of Night and not a Silverback. So that's what I'm going with there. Not a very exciting pack for us here. A bunch of cards we can't really use. Generator Servant's pretty sweet. Welcome Turn sweet. Sunblade Elf, but yeah, none of them really do anything. So I have really 2 options. I can take the Elf in case my opponents have a lot of X1s. I can board it in and just block. It's not a bad option. Or I can take a Plummet. And then I have the option of having another Plummet, basically. Which of these seems more reasonable? And there's a lot of X1s in the format, and we only have 1 Wayfinder right now. I think Sunblade Elf might actually be the better board card. And it incidentally also stops someone from having it. Whereas I think we can get another Plummet if we really want it. And we already have 1. So I'm going to take the Elf for the board. It seems like a weird board card, but it could be good. Here I think it's pretty easy. Elvish Mystic. We don't have the creature count to make Feral Invocation good, which is a card I actually really like in green-white. Ruin Club Bear's fine, but we have a lot of expensive cards. Necrobite's fine, but it's better in aggressive decks, just because you have the mana up, so your opponent is more tapped out, and you get less blown out. If you're on the defense and you play Necrobite and they respond, it's pretty bad. Crippling Blight, also better in aggressive decks, and Sign in Blood, we already have a lot of ways to gain card advantage. So we don't really need it as much. Elvish Mystic, kind of the exact card we're looking for. We have a lot of win conditions. I'm not a huge fan of Accursed Spirit in this deck right now, although it is good in this type of strategy if you just need to get through. So I'm looking at Restock and Hunt the Weak here as reasonable cards. We only have a couple milling cards right now, so I'm less interested in Restock. We have a reasonable amount of removal, but I kind of want Hunt the Weak just as one more way to deal with threats. And I really want just maybe 1 Restock. It's like pretty solid, but I'm just going to make our deck, play out and try to curve out removal and just good creatures. We don't need to focus on the graveyard strategy when it's not prioritized right now. Again, I'm going to take the more defensive card here, Typhoid Rats, over Accursed Spirit. Because we just want to survive to our 5s and 6s, and Typhoid Rats does a really good job of doing so. And, also is fine against Accursed Spirit, so passing my Spirit is, we'll just trade them off. It's a 1 for 4 in the mana department. Well, on-color dual lands are always nice, and we're really not giving up much for it, so I'm pretty happy to pick that up. Unmake the Graves is a nice one if you have a lot of things to return and a lot of dredging. But right now we don't. Charging Rhino, I already have too many expensive cards, so not in the market for it. Ranger's Guile is good if we have investments to protect. Here we kind of do, but I think we're not going to be able to tap for these creatures and hold up Ranger's Guile, and it's not good in the early game. So I'd rather just take Sign in Blood to smooth out our draws. Again, it's not exactly a high priority card for our deck, but it's certainly not going to be bad. We're not giving up too much for it. And so, yeah, the Angaric's Wake and Witch's Familiar tabled. Of these cards, I'm just going to take the Angaric's Wake, I think. Witch's Familiar is cool and all, but it doesn't just win the game. Now we just have multiple ways to win the game, and we can just prioritize on not dying. And as long as we don't die, we win. And those are actually just my favorite decks. So Let's do that. I think Fester Gloom is actually pretty good compared to Plummet here. I don't see myself ever playing Carnivorous Moss Beast in this deck. I'm going to take a Marked by Honor. It's a pretty good card against us because it can just go bigger than our creatures. And we'll take a Crippling Bite for the board. Get a foil rare for value. And we're shaping up quite nicely for pack 3. We really just need to prioritize 2 drops. So like if I get a choice between Child of Night and Ancient Silverback in this pack, I'm going to take the Child of Night. But really just want more State of Wayfinders. I also accept Stab Wound, which is worse in this format than it was in RTR, where it was pretty much insane. Because here, it doesn't have as many targets to just weaken and then basically kill them with. But it's still quite good, and it's a removal spell. And fits in this grindy game plan. So, I am in. Not much we can wheel from this pack. Roaring Primenox could be good in the deck, but it really depends on what our 1 through 3s end up looking like. And it's a pretty high pick, relatively, for green players, and there's no other green cards. So my guess is we're not going to table anything from this pack. Probably we'll get Crippling Blight back, because Flesh to Dust is a much better black card. So we're looking at probably getting Crippling Blight as a sideboard card on the wheel, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other cards that are going to get taken. And we need 7 to get taken there. So my guess is we'll wheel like probably Crippling Blight and maybe Sungrace Pegasus or something along those lines, just because those are the colors that are deepest in the pack. We have Gargoyle Sentinel as a blocker. We have Elvish Mystic to ramp. Rot Feaster Maggot to stabilize, and Shaman of Spring to just kind of fill out a curve. Evolving Wilds for a red source if we want it. I'm just going to take another Elvish Mystic, I think. If there's a lot of Forge Devils running around, this card gets a little bit worse. Well, I could take Gargoyle Sentinel. But I think, I mean, if we just look at our curve, I'm going to always have uses for that mana. Getting to 5 and 6 a turn early could be the difference between winning and losing. Seems like the best card for us. Okay, so Roaring Primenox or Invasive Species. Really don't have that much to Primenox for. Seems like more of a downside than an upside. I could also take Witch's Familiar, which is a reasonable card. But Invasive Species is a much better body and has some benefit of being able to bounce State of Wayfinder. And 3 power is kind of a big game because it really can attack through pretty much anything, and often even needs to be double blocked in the format. But I really never want to bounce a land. So basically the question is, if I just take Witch's Familiar, would I wheel anything from this pack? I mean, I might wheel the Verdant anyways. I'm just going to take the Invasive Species. I'm still trying to... gosh, there's another Invasive Species in this pack, so now I regret my pick. But yeah, if we get one more State of Wayfinder, this card just goes way up in value, the species. Also bouncing like a Maggot's good, but it's very expensive, so it's kind of unlikely. Anyways, I'm going to take another species. We can ramp it out pretty quickly with the Elvish Mystics, so I mean sometimes we're just going to go beat down. Passing a lot of peels. Second one this pack. I'm going to take another Fester Gloom for the board. It's less good with all these Elvish Mystics, but it is going to be another good board card. I could also take a Ranger's Guile. Maybe I should. I don't really think so. Well, here I'm going to take Shaman of Spring. It's a nice 4 to go with our Invasive Species. We're not really milling ourselves all that much for profit. So Shaman of Spring seems better. I could take Evolving Wilds for a red source. But this fills out our deck much more nicely than being able to splash a mountain off Nightfire Giant with Evolving Wilds. Like, we just need actual cards right now. Yeah, Reclamation Sage is a nice pickup. I mean, it's a nice main deck card. Actually has a lot of targets half the time. And when it's good, it's good. I could also take Willforge Golem to power out quickly. But it's going to be much higher variance in this deck. Sometimes we're not going to have the creatures to play it. And then it's going to be pretty bad. Whereas Reclamation Sage is always going to do something. And another Shaman of Spring. So actually our invasive species got a lot better. Yeah, I'll take a Roaring Primadox. We have two Elvish Mystics and Typhoid Rats and Satyr Wayfinder and 2 Shaman of Springs. At this point it's pretty decent. I'm surprised it tabled, but and now a Black Cat, which we're probably playing just to block. Dauntless River Marshal being in the pack is a little bit atrocious in the sense that like it should not be there. But probably just means people aren't white blue, so it's not that dangerous to pass at this point. I was hoping Verdant Haven would come back, and it's actually maybe playable in this deck. Because we can play it on turn 2 with Elvish Mystic, and then play a 5-drop right after. And it just ramps us very quickly, and we can also bounce it with Invasive Species for a little bit of life gain. Roaring Primadox is only creatures, I think, yeah. I think with 2 reach creatures, I cannot mainboard the Plummet. Radiant Fountain definitely could be a good sideboard card. It makes our mana a little bit worse, but we have 2 invasive species. So being able to bounce that and replay it actually gives you quite a nice life boost. Could also just be like an 18th land I could play main deck. Just for a little bit of value. If I just want to like not play Sign in Blood, for example, because it's bad on my mana, because I'm almost mono green. Like having double black early is not that realistic, and its life loss is not great in the deck anyways. I really don't know how good this card's going to be. Don't think we need Nightfire Giant, but it's sweet with Verdant Haven. What do we think of Perilous Vault here? That's the real question. What is it good against? Like the fast... It's probably good against green-white. Garrick's Wake is a much more powerful effect. Obviously costs 9, though. Seems like a reasonable 18-land deck, though. Like, I have so much going on up top with my mana. If I cut Sign in Blood and play a Radiant Fountain, I get 50 more lands. That's 17 lands. So I kind of need to cut another card. I could just cut Perilous Vault and board it in. I think it's good against like mid-range type decks where they have threats that I can't deal with. And I just don't have enough removal. The problem with fast decks is I'm playing all these creatures to stabilize and I just blow up my own things. And I have a lot of stabilizing effects anyways. I never want to miss a land drop. Yeah, I feel like this is more of a board card in this deck. Alright, this looks pretty reasonable. We go very big. So now, sort by color. Now we add basics. 10, 11 green, and 6, 7, 8 black with the Verdant Haven. Satyr Wayfinder also kind of finds black. So it's like 8.5 black sources-ish. Which is probably fine. We can't really play Magic without green. And there's a few early black spells we need. I think the fact that we have green cards that fix for black means we really need our forests. I think 11 green's probably right. And games where you turn one Elvish Mystic are so much better than games where you don't turn one Elvish Mystic. Like, Radiant Fountain could be a swamp. But I think the life gain's relevant. I think with Invasive Species, it's something I'm interested in. We'd also combo Invasive Species with Roaring Primadox to keep bouncing Radiant Fountain every turn. And that seems like a moderately sized game. Kill people with Grindclaw, kill people with... Yeah, this seems like a very, very sweet deck. Let's go ahead and submit and get to battling. Okay, so round 1. As dirtily as our deck is, I think we still want to play. And in a grinding matchups, we can choose to draw. But in the blind, we want to play. And this hand's fine. Typhoid Rat should buy some time, and we can dig into some other gas from there. We didn't get Forge Deviled. Our life is great. Alright. Get in there. We even drew a 4-drop to smooth out our draws to the 6-drop. Everything's going according to plan. Goblin Kaboomist. Well, it's a pretty good one. I definitely want to trade, so we don't want to attack here. And hopefully this guy just dies. He won the flip. What a master. We didn't get Hammer-Handed. That's a great start. Because Hammerhand on Goblin Kaboomist is a giant game. They just get to make landmines the rest of the game, and not a whole lot you can do about that. So here we can play Shaman of Spring. Trade our Typhoid Rats with Netcaster Spider. Ooh, and we have a plan. Draw in Garrick's Wake, so just kind of dirtle, and then blow up everything. He won the flip because he's a Stone Cold Master. Landing all the value over there. Luckily, we don't plan to attack for about 10 million years. Well, Ulcerate's a good one. I actually just don't care about landmines right now, though, because we have Ancient Silverback. So what I'm going to do is just play an Invasive Species. Bounce Shaman of Spring. Which he might kill. Alright, sure. I'm just going to bounce the Typhoid Rats. And we're going to explode. Yep. Kaboom is down. So he has 3 landmines. But again, don't care all that much. Looks like our Typhoid Rats is probably going to hit the bin. Yep. Frenzied Goblin, sure. That one's pretty good. Luckily, we're going to have two guys that are too big, so he can't really attack us. I'm going to play Satyr Wayfinder this turn so we can hold up green next when it's Silverback. Because if he has another Heat Ray, for example, I really don't want it to die, and we can just trade with Frenzied Goblin with Satyr Wayfinder. Ooh, we hit Radiant Fountain. Well, I'm in for that. Yep, didn't think he would want to attack. Alright, now we just play Silverback. He has something to punish us this turn by I guess I could have held up Llanowar Waste. Yeah, that was actually very bad. I should have held up Llanowar Waste. Chances are I'm not going to want to ulcerate this turn, but you just never know. Although this is much less suspicious if we get a turn. But I still think it was bad because at any moment's notice could be bad for us. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't really want to hunt anything. I guess I'm just going to attack for 6. Regenerating is a big game. Especially against green-red. There's really not that much they can do. I mean, hopefully I just don't have to show him Mingaric's Wake this game. Like, that's our backup plan. I think what I want to do is hunt the weak, the Enforcer this turn. It puts him on a 2-turn clock, basically. By this having 7 power instead of 6. So if I go like this, this. I don't mind showing him hunt the weak. It's fine. He can use 2 landmines this turn. But we'll just regenerate. Guess he'll save them. That's fine too. Now he has to use 3 landmines next turn. Alright. Well, our grindy grinders right there worked out well. Perilous Vault could be good in this matchup because his deck doesn't seem that fast, but it does seem like he goes kind of big. But maybe we just outvalue him. As it is. He doesn't have flyers we need to deal with. Yeah, Perilous Vault's probably not actually that good. Is anything bad in our deck? Ulcerate seemed good. We were always safe. Species are big enough to block everything. Reclamation Sage, he has artifacts. No, I guess, I mean, we have a game plan, so let's go ahead and submit. Okay, so here we have another hand that's we're pretty capable of keeping, especially with 18 lands on the draw. We've got a lot of 3-drops. Even if we have to bounce a land with invasive species, it should slow him down quite a bit. We have the Breaker with Soul of Zendikar. And if he happens to play a quick enchantment, we can blow it up. Living Totem time, it looks like. Yep. So we can bounce a land with invasive species and be able to block. also have Verdant Haven. Next turn could bounce the Verdant Haven invasive species, but I think just bouncing land here is just better. Just holds him back. And we still have that line after we trade if we want. And I'm definitely willing to... Am I willing to trade here? Basically, if I don't trade here, I can play Verdant Haven next turn. If I do trade here, I can play invasive species, bounce a land again, and still hold off everything. He doesn't have a pump spell because he would have attacked with Living Totem. If I don't block, he gets to attack again next turn and we're in the same spot. At which point, the following turn, we can hunt the weak. Let's see. Which means he can't really beat an invasive species. So maybe I should just block, because we're just trying to make the game go long. Alright. I mean, we're slowing ourselves down, but literally holding off everything. And then we catch back up with Verdant Haven, so it's really not that bad. If he attacks here, he could have a Meteorite post-combat, but it's not that big a deal. I'm definitely willing to trade with that also. This uses our mana much better than playing Elvish Mystic. So next, basically we can play Soul of Zendikar in like 2 turns, and that should be very good. Kurt Chieftain is pretty nasty. I'm going to take 6. And then we're going to play a Soul of Zendikar. We can start blocking. Also, if he taps low, he can hunt the weak. Alright, he's just pumping, so he doesn't really have anything else to do, so he's kind of flooding out. We're taking 8, though. Once we play a 6/6, that should be a moderately sized game. I don't really want to attack this turn because I might want to chump if he heat raise my... I like how Moto just doesn't let me pay colorless. There's like some bug or something with Verdant Haven. So he can attack with a 4/4 this turn. And we're going to heat raid, I think. So now I need to decide. Do I want to block? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So even if I... Let's see. So if I block this turn, then I'm going to have 5 mana next turn. If I draw a 4-drop, I can hunt the weak. So let's say I draw Roaring Primadox. I really don't want to block here. So I probably should have attacked last turn, but at least this gave me the option to block. I'm just going to take it. If I draw Roaring Primadox and can't hunt the weak this next turn, I'd be very upset. So We drew Seder Wayfinder. Mostly just dead. But if I can live this turn, then I can hunt the weak next turn after he tramples. And he can't trample both. So if I play Seder Wayfinder, and then flash back my beast, then how do I block next turn? Because he's attacking for 6 and then basically 8. So if I block with Seder Wayfinder and Elvish Mystic, we live. Because he can only pump once. It doesn't matter where he pumps. So he pumps here and we go to 1. So that's worth it. So let me play Seder Wayfinder. Also, I could hit Radiant Fountain, which would also be pretty good. I'm gonna attack for 1. No, I can't attack for 1. I need to block with both. This is not an easy game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alternatively, I could block in a way where I can in Garruk's wake him. Does that give me better outs? So if I flash back this turn and get a 3/3, and I block the 3/3 on the Living Totem, Seder Wayfinder, Curd Chieftain, he tramples the Living Totem, I take 1, and if I draw in Garruk's wake, I can cast it, and if I draw Roaring Primadox, I can hunt the weak, which could be true anyways. But if he just plays another creature, I kind of just lose. It's going to be a 4/5. And he doesn't have... I could Reclamation Sage this turn. Also, if he has Meteorite, we lose. Yeah, I think Garruk's Waking is a better out here because I just have other things I can hit. And it forces his hand. I'm going to block like this. If he has Meteorite, we lose, but that was already true. Alright. So this way, we go to 5. We actually beat Meteorite, and I have a lot more live draw steps, and we're less dead. Yeah, we need to deal with that anyways. So hopefully just rip in Garruk's Wake. Flesh to Dust. Certainly not bad. I think I just want to hunt the weak here. It's pretty bad because we're 2 for 1 ourselves, but then we have a lot of outs. we'll stabilize once we draw anything reasonable here. And we're still live to drawing Garrick's Wake to wipe out both his creatures. I will choose no. I can block here, which basically is good against Meteorite off the top. Or I can not block. So if I go to 1 and I have to hit a creature next turn anyways. I have to hit a relevant spell. I think chumping here is correct. What makes it incorrect? Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is correct. Because we can still block next turn if we draw another creature. And this plays around what we've seen out of his deck. Alright, hopefully just draw in Garrick's Wake. We drew Black Cat. We are dead. Alright, so there we got a little bit run over. Specifically, Kurd Chieftain is pretty good against us. But maybe Black Cat's no good. He didn't have that many X ones. I could get Black Cat for Perilous Vault. It digs us out of situations where we're way behind. I'm also not a huge fan of Reclamation Sage in this matchup. Could also bring in Tyrant's Machine because the matchup's a little bit grindy. And it's another out to the Intimidate guy. But I think we still want to play. Basically, this is like a hedge. It's like certainly not good when we blow up all our own things, but it could be good later on. It's kind of just another 9-mana in Garrick's Wake too.
Have you cast in Garrick's Wake this round?
No, I haven't cast in Garrick's Wake, but.
Okay. I imagine it'd be really tough to pull off.
Alright, well, we're going to grind clock our opponent. It's going to be great. I was just asked by a coworker if I had cast in Garrick's Wake yet. But we certainly are capable of doing so. I think just getting grind clock into play is way better than playing a Netcaster Spider here. Because the matchup's probably grindy anyways. So I get to attack for 1 and then play a grind clock. Pretty sure that's very good. I just did this now so I can't forget. There's really no downside to doing so. Nothing that punishes tapped artifacts. Alright, now. There's no real reason to play Radiant Fountain yet. Doesn't really change the combat math at all. Or, like, it's better that we know about it, but he doesn't, because we're at a virtual 22 right now. And he might play it differently. You never know. Alright. Ooh, Rotfeaster Maggot. I think I want to wait to trade. Although if I just play Rotfeaster, he can't attack. It actually gains us more life. Ooh, I could grind clock him for 2 and then play Maggot. That's actually probably the best. Let's try it. Ooh, so we got a Netcaster Spider. So gain 3 life. I'm in. It's a use the grind clock has not been good for ever, probably. And we've just stopped his offenses, and we're getting him good. Think we want to... Jeez, that's a blot. Well, grind clocking plan is done. Most likely. Oh, I guess he wants the creature. It's fine with me. I'll go ahead and play the Radiant Fountain, gain 2. And pass turn. There's no real reason to charge this when he has red up. Yeah, I'm just going to mill him. Milled a Hammerhand, not the worst. Would have rather milled a Curt Chieftain, but I'll take what we can get. That's a problem. Again, Garrick's Wake would be insane. Force is less insane. We don't really have any good attacks, because you can double block the Rot Feaster. I could attack with Netcaster, start attacking with Rot Feaster. But then he attacks us. Like, if I attack with Netcaster and he trades Goblin Rough Rider. I mean, the third toughness, how relevant is it? We're being attacked for 2. I can start attacking. I mean, do I want to start racing? If I attack for 3, then he starts attacking us from Rune Claw Bear, and we have to trade Shaman. Yeah, it's just not good. We really want a Primadox on this board, because that would be ridiculous. That's very bad for us. Alright, now we're dying very quickly. Ooh. Yep. Board card worked out in the end. I still don't think we want to attack. Luckily, popped his Torch Fiend already. Very happy I boarded this in. Totally forgot I even put it in my deck, so that's always best. It's kind of like finding money in your pockets or, you know, around the house. There's like added value you didn't know you had. Kind of just a big game. Alright, sure. I'm surprised he didn't Lightning Strike this and Inferno Fist it. It seems like it would have been better. I guess he's going to untap and Heat Ray us. It's pretty annoying. I'd like to draw some spells, but I don't really know if that's possible. I mean, we are running 18 lands, but still. He should have attacked first, and then Heat Raid, because we take 1 less damage this way. Because we get to tap his 3/2. Whereas if he just goes to combat, he attacks everything and then Heat Rays this. I would have tapped this possibly, unless I just had the Soul Raid that he'd Heat Ray, which I did, and I probably would have tapped his 3/2 anyways. But it's just giving up basically a free damage. Alright, attack. Oh man. Garrick's Wake. Good news is we boarded in Perilous Vault, which is also pretty good here. And now we just hope to draw spells. That is a good one. Now I can just tap Krenko's Enforcer. And we have 6 minutes left, so let's make sure we don't time out. And eventually we'll start valuing him, and then he'll die. And right now we're at a stalemate. We're very good at drawing lands. But yeah, Roaring Priminox was a very, very good one. Well, I hope Swamp's not relevant. That was disgustingly good. Alright, now I would even take Perilous Vault, honestly. Now he gets to attack with everything, and we're in giant trouble. I can block Goblin Rough Rider here. 4, 5, 6, 7. I could also take it in case I draw in Garrick's Wake. In which case we're actually winning, so I think I should probably take it this turn. 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it doesn't change the math. We're still just dead next turn. Yep, it's not good. I think we're just dead on board, but I'm not sure. Nice. Yeah, we're just gonna die this turn. So we can block here and here, and you trample for 1, 2, 3. I guess we're not just dead. Here you can trample for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, yeah, so that does it. All right. And tramples on the Living Totem, I think. If he wants to play it safe, he can trample on the Rough Rider. It's probably clear that we don't have anything, though. We just haven't done anything forever. So he should probably just go for the kill. Yeah. That's what I would have done in his position. So I think he played well. Unfortunate for us. Curious what our next card would have been. We were not very close. Ah, there it is. Yeah, I mean, our deck was like super grindy. We had to draw specific key cards. But I think our deck was good. So, is what it is. That's that, I guess. Well, M15 didn't go the best, but I decided we will follow that up with some VMA because both are entertaining, and you never know, maybe we can open some power here. So in this VMA pack, we have Rain of the Pit, which is a pretty mediocre rare, pretty much just worse than Predatory Night Stalker, which is a common. So not too happy to take that first. We have Chainer's Edict, which is just basically better than Reign of the Pit. One of the best commons here, and we have Beneless Trapper as the other best common. Um, of these, I think Chainer's Edict is a little more powerful. Beneless Trapper's in a better color, I think. But people tend to avoid black in this format, so I'm fine taking Chainer's Edict first. We get instantly rewarded with Dark Hatchling, which is actually really powerful and common. Just being able to play, Terminate on a stick with a 3/3 flyer, relevant body is very, very good. Goblin War Chief is nice too if we want to go the Goblin route. But following up with a black card after Chainer's Edict seems like a much safer bet. And even though the War Chief is probably better in the decks it's in, that deck needs to be open because if you're splitting the Goblin deck, it's quite atrocious. Other cards of note are basically Finnorn Elves, Tarot's Faithful, Scrivener, and some mediocre red cards. But all these cards are a little bit scrappy. They're not great. And more cards you're looking to get towards the end of the pack. Well, we're rocking and rolling. We're kind of taking the best card of every pack. In this case, Expunge actually is the best card in the pack. Cloud of Fairies is a nice Storm Enabler, but besides that, all these cards, like Brindle Showed, is an okay mid-rangey card. Green control decks. Chartooth Cougar is good in Lightning Rift decks, but even then, it's not as good as some cards. And Expunge is pretty much an all-out rock star, so we're going to take that and be pretty happy about it. I mean, no reason to stop now. Chainer's Edict, also probably the best card in this pack. I would say Crozen Tusker is the second best card in this pack, and Gaze and Breast is the third best card in this pack, although those two might be flipped. Depends on the deck. These black creatures are fine, but you kind of want them once you have the Edict so you can actually push through damage. And now that we take the Edict, we'll just have all this removal so we can actually take all the dorky black creatures and have an actually good deck. So I'm pretty happy with the way this is going. Grisly Fate is a very, very powerful magic card. And it's good with all the cards we have so far, but it is a second color. If I just try to be aggressive here, I could take Carnophage, which I think might be pretty good. We have 2 Chainer's Edicts already, and an Expunge. If we just take all the small creatures, I think that would be a good strategy, considering that black looks very, very, very open. And I don't need to commit to a second color yet. I think we want to be aggressive, although you could be mid-rangey with these Edict effects. But I find the aggressive decks, when they come together, do tend to be better. We could also take Animate Dead, which is pretty much just a good magic card, but it's a little less focused with what we have, and I think Carnophage fits that focus much better. Alright, we can follow that up with a Dauthi Mercenary for the aggression. Spirit Mirror is fine, but it's kind of a controlling card. Goblin Settler, not what we're looking for. Claw's not really what we're looking for. Death's Head Buzzard is also okay, but it's less good than Dauthi Mercenary when we're attacking, just because this guy obviously has Shadow. So we're pretty happy with that, considering what the pack looked like. I'm not a huge fan of Mesmeric Fiend in these beatdown decks. I am a huge fan of Death Reap Ritual when we have a lot of removal, which is exactly what we have. So if we just pick up, if we're just like a very aggressive deck and we refill our hand with Death Reap Ritual, even if we just like Suicide Guys and draw cards, that's actually very powerful. Another option is Mystic Zealot, but I think we're going to take a card of a second color. We should take the more powerful option, and here I think that's Death Reap Ritual, given the context of our deck. Paralyze if we want to go super aggro, but it's pretty bad with Edict effects, so I don't really want to take that. I can take Mistmoon Griffin, just rebuy creatures, and go more of a mid-range route with our deck. Or like these random blue cards. I think Mistmoon Griffin's the strongest card in the pack. So I'm going to take it here, and then we just have an option of which direction we want to go. Death's Head Buzzard is like pretty awkward with Dauthi Mercenary in the deck. Nostalgic Dreams is not amazing in this sort of strategy. We're not controlling enough for it to be able to rebuy very, very powerful effects. Pine Barrens is a little bit slow. What I'm gonna do is take Death's Head Buzzard. It's a reasonable board card, and can be better than Mercenary at times. So if we get a bunch of Death's Head Buzzards, we might want to go that route instead. So here we can take Reckless Charge or Skirk Drill Sergeant. I could also take Tranquil Thicket. But getting back the red creatures, we can stay on the aggressive stint. And I think in this case, Skirk Drill Sergeant is the better option just because we don't have many creatures and we want to apply pressure. Brindleshot's pretty sweet with Death Reap Ritual, so maybe we're going a more grindy route. I don't want to play any of these other cards. To note, there was another Brindleshot in that pack. It's good that a black creature tabled out of this pack. I think Dothy Mercenary was also in the pack, so that got taken, but we do have that. And here we can take a Hulking Goblin. I'm not going to worry about Tangle too much when I get a playable. And I'm just actually going to cut Wall Diffusion. I don't want to play Skirk Prospector, and Wall is good against us. So we have the makings of a nice aggressive deck. It's not insanely powerful. Basically, we just need a bunch more Carnophages, and then a bunch more 2-drops, and then a little more removal. And then we're going to have a streamlined deck. That's basically what we're looking for. But we got a good solid 8, 9, 10 playables out of the first pack. And in aggressive decks, Strip Mine is very good. Playing turn 1 Carnophage, turn 2 Strip Mine can just kill people. Hymn to Turok's also fine, because it can also kind of randomly blow people out. But just setting people behind is so much better, and it also doesn't take up a slot in your deck. It's a land that, if you have enough ways to produce colorless mana, you could just basically play it and you flood out way less often because you have a land that's also a spell. Battle Screech is by far the best card in this pack. We could just take it. I mean, we have a Mistmoon Griffin, and we got that pretty late, and there's nothing pulling us in a different direction. Alternatively, I could take Su Chi, but it's a little bit clunky. I think we may just want to be like a white-black mid-range deck with Edicts, and we have the Griffin. We would be more on the Dothy Mercenary plan than Death's Head Buzzard. I think it just gives us more reach than any of these other cards. Mana War is nice, Sarcomancy is nice, Soltari Emissary is nice. Those are really our only options. After taking Battle Screech, I'm kind of tempted to take Soltari Emissary, just because it combos well, it attacks well, it makes the most sense. Sarcomancy is the more all-in card, and black was open in pack 1. But I find that the zombie that it produces can't really attack and block all that well, because if you lose it, it's really quite bad for you. Could also take Mana War, but I think blue was not that open. And so after taking a Battle Screech, I really just want to take a white card. Alright, so we can take Famine, Phantom Nomad, or Chainer's Edict. Famine's a pretty solid all-around card. But it's it's pretty much always good. But Chainer's Edict is way better in multiples. And we'll just punish our opponents as we attack early. If like Carnophage Chainer's Edict, then that's a pretty big game. So I'm going to take that. I could even see, hopefully, wheeling the Salt Flats would be nice. This Putrid Imp we have here is pretty putrid by definition, so hopefully we don't have to play it, but I'll leave it in the playable pile for now. Bassandra is a giant game, but we're mostly black, so I don't see it being very playable in this particular deck. With 3 Edicts, Carnophage gets a whole lot better, just because you play it and you get to attack every single turn. And we're not really going to be wanting to Animate Dead anything that early, and we don't really have any cyclers, so I'm just going to take the Carnophage. Here we get to slam Fallen Ascari. It's way better than Death's Head Buzzard, especially because we want to be playing Dothy Mercenary and Battle Screech. In fact, just put that in the sideboard right now. And it's actually just the best 2-drop in black for our deck. And so that's pretty sweet. Let's see. What else do we not? Everything else is totally playable, I think. Yeah. So we're on track. We need, 2-3 more playables out of this pack, which I think we should be able to get. This one's pretty interesting. We have a bunch of reasonable options. Crescendo of War is super good with Battle Screech, just because you get a bunch of guys and you kill your opponent. But I don't think we're going to have that many tokens, and it's a 4-drop that can help our opponent, even though we have a lot of removal. Devout Witness is a 3-drop with marginal upside that is very good with Battle Screech, just because it's a white creature, and you can use the flashback. And Fledgling Djinn is a 2-drop that we can apply pressure with. That's pretty good. But it's worse than virtually every other 2-drop in white-black. So because we have another pack, I'm going to take Devout Witness. It's just a creature. I want a creature here. It can't really help our opponent, and it's white, which is relevant. We already have a Death's Head in the board. Terra's Faithful is actually pretty good in this type of strategy because we're going to be damaging ourselves a lot. And while we're attacking, we can play it and then end up finishing off the game in the air while we block. It's actually pretty sweet. If we get enough value creatures, Urborg Uprising could be good. It's also good out of the board if our opponents have a ton of removal. But we're not looking to main deck it. Gilded Light's nice against the Storm player. We're not going to play a Scourge Familiar. And here, I mean, Sarcomancy came back. That's a good sign. We have 2 Carnophages and Sarcomancy. And Famine came back also, which is totally awesome. There's just situations where it's good and you need to attack and trade off the whole board. Here, I think Spark Spray is the best card versus us. Death's Head for the board, which is awesome. Also to note, like if we don't end up with that many X1s, we could cut the X1s and play more Death's Head Buzzards instead of the X1s themselves, which is always an option. And look, more Putrid Imps for our board. Zombie Imp. Combo with Sarcomancy. Turn it off. Yeah, it'll last no power this draft, but can't always. As I was mentioning before, Fallen Ascari is much better than Fledgling Djinn, and this pack's actually just not very good for us. We didn't brick. I mean, I'm still happy that we get a pick. Picking Fallen Ascari feels pretty bad, but it is where we're at, and it still applies a lot of pressure. Just curving out with this deck is very powerful, so pretty happy to pick it up here. Bunch of paralyzes. Soltari Trooper is great for our deck. The evasive, good with Battle Screech. Kind of what we're looking for here, so let's go ahead and take that. We don't even really need to always play it on 2 when we have all these black cards, but it's going to be good. Living Death's kind of the opposite of what we're looking for, because we're just going to be killing things, so it's actually a good card against us. Carnophage and Mistmoon Griffin are really the choices here. We have 3 4-drops, and we're super aggressive. We just always want to play a 1-drop. I'm actually going to take Carnophage. It's easier to get 4-drops than a bunch of 1-drops, and I just don't think it'll necessarily table, and I don't want to risk it, because our deck is potentially far more powerful with the Carnophage than it is with Mistmoon Griffin, even if we could get both. So the risk-reward is just very low here. If it was high, I would maybe take the other card, but here it's not. We get another Edict effect, which is awesome, because we already have 3 plus all this removal. Kind of exactly what we're looking for. Wouldn't mind a Brilliant Halo in this deck, just to make the zombies enormous. Close choice between Khazardrix and Radiance Judgment. Khazardrix is great when you just have a couple guys and you need to stall at the board and just basically keep attacking. Radiant's Judgment just kills a big guy that comes down, and you get to keep attacking, which I think is better just because Khazradix is better when you're trying to block sometimes, and we basically never want to block. And so we might actually just deal ourselves a ton of damage with the card. If they just play a guy, we attack, they block, and then we take 4. It's just not... I mean, it's not bad, but I think Radiant's Judgment's better. And also cycles, if in fact it's useless. We get another Fallen Ascari, which is okay by me. Multiple City of the Bottles this draft. Waterfront Bouncer's very annoying. Not much you can do about it. I could take Benevolent Bodyguard or a Chroma's Blessing. Normally, Bodyguard is just almost strictly better because you're putting auras on your guys. This draft is not really true. We don't have much we care about protecting because our creatures are all terrible. Although they're synergistic, so it's still fine. I think maybe Blessing is a good way to push through the rest of the damage. So that's what I'm going to go for here. And another Night Stalker as a way to kind of finish off our curve. Fledgling, pretty sweet. Defiler also pretty good. I'm going to take another Death's Head. We're getting to the point where it might be better to just play Death's Head Buzzards and cut our white cards. Let me take a look at what that would look like. Just because having all swamps is pretty sweet when we're trying to play turn 1 Carnophages. Let's see what this looks like. So this is 23 cards. If we can get another 2 black cards, then we can play 16. We can play 15 swamps and a strip mine, and have an awesome curve. And even playing 17 lands is actually fine because we have 5 drops and Chainer's Edicts, so that's fine. So really just one more card. Spinal Graft is not it. I could also splash Deathreap Ritual and play like 2 forests because it's so good in the deck. We also have the Chainer's Edict Death's Head Buzzard combo. If they have a bunch of X-ones we have to kill, just blow up your own guy. And always kill their battle screeches. Which is kind of sweet. Ooh, Mythic Rare, second to last. I'm in. Alright, so the question is it better to have that consistent mana, or should we play white? My only problem with the white is Battle Screech is double white, and that's what we're trying to get to, and all our creatures are black anyways. It's just not that exciting. So I mean, maybe I just want to splash Deathreap Ritual. Play 2 forests. I really have to hit swamps. Maybe 3 forests even. If we go like this. It suggests 0 forests. Well, I don't think that's right. But if we play 12 swamps and 3 forests, I pretty much always have a swamp on turn 1 with 12. And we should be able to consistently play Death's Head. Because if I draw, 2 swamps and 1 of these other ones, I think that's consistent enough. And we can actually play the Deathreap Ritual on turn 4 after attacking and trading off. So that makes the most sense to me. Oh, we could actually add another swamp. Okay, this was suggesting 16 lands. So let's go ahead and add the swamp. So yeah, 13, 3, and 1. That seems pretty awesome. And let's see how that goes. So here we have 1-drop and a 1-drop, and we even have Deathreap Ritual mana, so can't really get a whole lot better than that. And our opponent kept and skipped his first turn. Because we're on the draw. Okay. Let's go ahead and play turn 1 Sarcomancy. Well, the second forest is a lot worse than the first forest, but I think it'll be okay. So we get to attack here. Play another 1-drop. And then next turn, we can kill a guy or play a 2-1. Looks like we're probably going to play a 2-1. I like how we've drawn every forest in our deck. It's pretty smart. But that's okay, because we drew a swamp. And the beatdowns continue. Famine looks awful here, but it's still a lava spike, which seems pretty good. Alright. Jeez. Okay, so we can just attack, and then he'll play monkeys, and then I can just strip mine him. And they can't pay Echo, and I can just shadow this. And if he doesn't have it, then he's pretty much dead. So I like that play a lot. And then we can expunge the next one. Alright, so he didn't have it anyways. So I'm still just going to pump this and strip mine him. I guess he could have Tangle. And he has had enough. And that's how you win a game. Well, I guess we submit deck because we have pretty much no sideboard. And yep, can cast a bunch of our spells. Seems great. I wish we had one more Edict and one less 2-drop, but that's okay. Also, if we had a 1-drop, this hand would be better, but you can't have it all in life. Dreampod Druid is a problem. Here we get to play Fallen Ascari. The Edict's just not particularly good when he has 2 creatures here. But if we can get to Defiler mana... The Fledgling Djinn trades with Dreampod Druid, so it's worth playing here. And then we can play Defiler the next turn. If he just attacks with Root Wall, I'll consider blocking, but it's probably a bad block. I could take 3, go to 10, untap. Basically, he gets to play another creature. Or I could just Edict him, he sacks this, and we take 2. I'm not really sure that's better or worse. I almost want to just play Fledgling Djinn and block. We can even next turn play Chainer's Edict and Fledgling Djinn. Basically, we're going to get out tempoed if we just have Djinn in play. Like, we're trading 2 for 3, and then we take 1 every turn. So we're basically trading 2 for 4, which is very bad. So yeah, I think I like that because it ends up being a time walk essentially because he has to use his mana for Basking Rootwalla. So we're trading a card for his turn most likely, and he can't attack us with Dreampod Druid. And he doesn't know we're going to block, so hopefully it just messes up his intended curve. Alright, so he's attacking with Dreampod Druid. I guess I just block. That's even better for us. So Suchi. If we can somehow trade off with Basking Rootwalla, then we can Edict him and then be in this game. So here I like playing Defiler, trying to trade, and then being able to Edict him when he has 1 fewer creature in play. And him drawing Elephant Guide is mostly just an entire disaster here. So let's see. We're going to have to take this. We're at 5. I can double block next turn. The problem is he has Basking Rootwalla. I'm going to pretty much have to Edict him here. We can see what he wants to do. Blocks. Like he can sacrifice this root wall or this root wall. I'm not sure which he's gonna do. All right, so that one that makes sense. So now I can play Fledglingen and block both and kill his Suchi. So here I attack. I guess he's just mono green, or he's severely mana screwed both games. He probably has like Raphaelos in his deck and can just go off. Mana Vault. Alright, so here we block like this, and then shrink his Suchi. It doesn't seem like a good attack unless he has something. Yeah, it seems like a very bad attack. Why don't you just play Claws of Wirewood? I just don't know what's going on. Alright, so I can attack for 2 and block. Alright. So he takes 1. Yeah, I mean, very unlikely that we somehow crawl this game, but if I can draw an Edict next. Ooh, if I draw a Predatory Night Stalker, I feel like we can win. He just doesn't attack. I guess we're probably just dead. I mean, we are just dead, but play this. Guys, pump once and bluff like a Tangle is our line. I guess I should have attacked with Fledglingen also. Because that actually bluffs Tangle way better. Okay, so it just attacks us. I mean, he should do that. And hopefully we can curve out better in game 3. I wonder if Spinal Graft has any merit in this matchup. We didn't really see many targeting effects. Famine's kind of bad because most of his creatures are huge. He's the worst color for Famine. I could just cut. Yeah, I think it might be good. Like, he'd have to Elephant Guide our creature, but then he doesn't have Elephant Guide. And we could just turn 2 5/5 him. I kind of like it. Certainly experimental at best. But we're going to try it. It seems like this is just a racing matchup. We have a bunch of removal here. Can't really mulligan. Findorn Elves. I probably care about Findorn Elves just because I don't know. My plan is not Death's Head Buzzard dying this game. So even though that kills it, I mean, I'm just going to Chainer's Edict him. The Edict's not getting any better when he has Findorn Elves in play. And if he kept a Landlight hand, maybe we get him. Ooh, he did keep a Landlight hand. This is awesome. Alright, so now we Death's Head Buzzard him. Then depending next turn we either Spinal Graft or we Expunge, and I'm not sure which. Chances are we just Spinal Graft. Even if he has an Elephant Guide, then he has to guide our guy and then his Basketball while it dies. So it seems like it's going to be pretty good. Also gets out of range of Claws of Wirewood. So we get in for 5. He might spit a bunch of Root Walls into play this turn. We'll see. He did not. Definitely not going to block. I think that's very bad. Even if my if I block and he pumps either of his guys, then we're taking all this damage to Sarcomancy. And here I just get to untap, Expunge his Worm. It's pretty awesome. The Edict's pretty bad here, but if I can untap Night Stalker and then Edict, that's awesome. So here I think we just Expunge this, and then just win the race. I've actually literally never cast this card, so in like 150 drafts. So this is like pretty exciting. Discards Roar the Worm. Well, don't think it's going to be fast enough. Ooh, that's pretty good. So if I Chainer's Edict him, sacks that. Now I attack for 5. Now I play this guy. And ooh, Defiler, pretty good draw. Can't really attack with Ascari. Actually, maybe I can. He can sacrifice 2 creatures to Ascari. Or he can block. Yeah, it's actually definitely a good attack. And also, Fallen Ascari says he can't block, so we better attack. Yeah, like him discarding Jungle Worm, that certainly can't be bad for us. Why would he make it blue? That's just so bad. I could just kill it in response to the second one. Now it's white? Alright. Wow, he discarded his out to Spinal. Oh, no, it's because we have Jeez. Sarcomancy's never been better. He discarded Tribute of the Wild. He could just never cast it to get rid of our Spinal Graft. Okay, on the play, and we have a pretty ridiculous hand. I mean, this is probably one of the best hands in our deck. So hopefully this gets the job done. Or else we're in big trouble. I probably want to play Fallen Scar on turn 2 rather than Strip Mine, just because then the following turn we can Edict his play and Strip Mine his land, and then Edict the next play. And at that point, he's basically just dead. Alright, so sure enough, let's go ahead and play Carnophage. And pass to him. Well, I changed my mind. I think I want to strip mine him. This is actually the best strip mine of all time. So now he can't pay Echo, and it's like we Chainer's Edict him. I'm going to play a 2-drop next turn. Very likely. And follow up with an Edict. Edicts for days. And so here we pay. Get in there and follow up with Fallen Ascari. I'd much rather have played a creature, but oh well. Yeah, this drawing a creature is pretty sweet. And just pray that he doesn't play Goblin Matron this turn. I can accept that. And so attack with both. And we'll Edict him. And hopefully fade a Beetleback Chief, because that would ruin most of our plans. Well, Fraction Defiler is pretty good against Beetleback Chief. Yeah, there it is. I think he has a Goblin Commando in his hand. He was really considering what to play this turn. Goblin Commando is better for him if he can play Commando and then Chief, and then attack the following turn, but this plays around Edict better. So I think he correctly assessed the situation. I would like to pay life, though, because being able to bash or block with Carnophage is quite good here. Because we drew land for the Defiler, I actually want to attack, I think. Attack with both. He'll probably just take it. Okay, he blocked. Cool, that's fine too. Don't really care that much either way. Okay, my guess is Goblin Goon. Goblin General is a card. We do still have Edict effects, so if I just play Predatory Nightstalker this turn, there's really not a whole lot he can do about it. Like, he could Rights for 2 plus the General trigger, but he loses a Goblin. So I think just attack with both our creatures is our best option. Now he's at 5. He sacks a Goblin. Doesn't really have any attacks on this board. If his hand's ridiculous, we could conceivably be in some trouble if he had a combination of, like, Fire Blast and all sorts of like if his hand was like Fire Blast, Goblin General, Reckless Charge, we probably would have died here, but it'd have to be some crazy combination like that. So attacking definitely felt right. And that would actually deal us 11 damage. It actually wouldn't kill us. That combination wouldn't even have been good enough, I don't think. I think we would have been alive at 1 and been able to kill him anyways. Against goblins, Death Ray Ritual is pretty good because they just have a lot of small guys, and we can just keep chaining value. And he probably trades off a reasonable amount. All these Death's Head Buzzers is actually going to be insane. And obviously not a combo with Dothy Mercenary, but being able to just kill off half his goblins with them gives us a lot of play, which we normally don't have. So yeah, I mean that worked out very well. Awkward that we have to hurt ourselves in the process, but definitely worth it. Famine's also pretty good against him. His hand is a little bit clunky. In fact, it's a lot clunky, but we do have one of our best cards against him. And on the draw, our creatures are pretty much just worse. We do draw Carnophage. I'd be pretty happy to trade here. Just because we don't want to be trading 2 damage for 3 damage. Which is essentially what we would be doing if we pay 1 and attack. So I think this game we're the control deck. Last game we're the aggro deck. And it's good to know our role and play accordingly. So the question is, do I let him pay Echo and then Edict him, or do I just Edict him and then he can play a 3-drop? It depends on how much I value my health. I feel like the tempo lost by the 1 mana is actually pretty relevant because we saw a lot of 3-drops, but not a lot of 2-drops. So I think I want to play Swamp and Pass here. It's like only bad if we draw exactly Edict or 2-drop next turn. But I think it's better based on what we've seen. Yeah, like, that's not even that big a deal. We can just sandbag the Fallen Ascari into these other creatures. And now I'll probably just play like a Beetleback Chief or something, or a Goblin Commando. Alright, he just didn't have a 3-drop. That's fine too. I still like our play. So he probably has a bunch of removal. Is that what that means? And 4-drops. I think I'm just fine playing Defiler here. Use our mana the best. And if it gets Chain Lightning, it's not like a huge deal or anything. Now we play this guy. Like if he's not going to commit to the board, we might as well. We can kill his next threat. And if he plays a bunch of things, we can always Famine. Ringletter's pretty good. Beetleback Chief, Goblin Patrol. He kind of needs to play out cards this game so that he doesn't get crushed by Edict in a turn or two. In which case we can Famine him. So hopefully next turn he goes like Beetleback Chief, Goblin Patrol. And then we Famine. And then we go from there. Because I think just... I think we have to get a little bit more value off the Famine or else we're going to lose. Because there's so many cards in hand. And our play is a little bit telegraphed. putting these creatures into play just feels pretty bad. And if he doesn't want to play a bunch of creatures, that's fine too. Like, it just means we're delaying the game state. Yeah. It's unfortunate he didn't draw land, because if he did draw land, then we would be able to do a lot more. But I think at this point we should famine. Or I could play Death's Head Buzzard. Try to wipe out more things. But I think all this removal is good enough where I can 1-for-1 him after we famine. It's only bad if he has multiple Beetleback Chiefs. And I mean, we have Chinner's Edict, Dark Hatchling, Predator Night Stalker, and Death's Head Buzzard. And we can still just play Buzzard as a value card. So I think famining now is better than famining later. Let's see. So now we can just Dark Hatchling the Goblin General. And then we'll just play about a bazillion Edicts. Or Death's Head Buzzard, Fledgling Jinn. I mean, we have a lot of options. So can hide that. That's pretty gross. 2 Matrons. Pretty good. Luckily, Dark Hatchling is large enough where it doesn't matter. So I'm playing Night Stalker and Jinn this turn. And then trade off Night Stalker and keep attacking. Put him 210. And a pretty short clock at that point. We do have to watch out for getting rights just because he has so many cards in hand. But as long as we have more creatures than him, it's not a big issue. I think we just want to block with Fledgling Jinn. It shortens our clock a little bit, but we get to attack, and he has to block. If he plays a big creature, we have Edict. If he plays a bunch of small creatures, we have Death's Head Buzzard. And this way we're not losing life. That's kind of annoying. Can play Buzzard and then not trade, but that's not exciting. I think I just want to attack and then Edict him. And then we attack in next turn, play Buzzard, and he's on a 1-turn clock at that point. Jeez, that's not good for us. Hopefully just draw a spell. Another Edict would be nice. Can't always get what you want. So the question is... Do I take 5 this turn and die to any red spell? Or do I not? If he has a burn spell, I think I lose anyways. Because then he kills my Dark Hatchling, we have no pressure, and we die. So I think we just have to take this. Alright. Well, we made a decision. I think it was still fine. Oops. Well, we wanted to submit anyways. Yield misclick, but doesn't matter. I think being on the play is a giant game in this match. So luckily we have that advantage for game 3. And if we can curve out our 1-drops, then he'll be in trouble. And we would like to play. And we have Strip Mine again, so he has a lot of Goblin Patrols. This looks like a repeat of game 1. The fact that we have 2 forests and not a second swamp is pretty awful, but the rest of the hand is very good. I really hope that's a Goblin Patrol. It's not, but yes, we drew Swamp. That's good. He knew better. I'm still gonna. Do I still Strip Mine him? I think I do. We have a lot of mana, so if he kept a loose 1, this is still good. Okay. That's pretty good. But we have a lot of good ones against him here. All of these help Wrath his board. Depending his play here, might or might not pay for Carnophage next turn. If he plays the next one, I'm just going to keep it tapped and play a Death's Head. That's actually great for us. So the question is, do I play Death's Head or Dothy Mercenary? They're an anti-combo for sure. If I play Mercenary, I can't block, but it can attack for more. If I play Death's Head Buzzard, it can block better. End up killing everything. I would rather follow this up with the Wrath. If I can just clock him with it, then maybe I just can 1-for-1 and kill him. This turn is definitely not easy. The Death's Head Buzzard is way better after Famine, I think, actually, because then it can stop his X1s. So I think I should just play Mercenary. Because I'm not going to block Death's Head Buzzard on Skirk Prospector. War Chief is pretty strong. But if I play Death's Head Buzzard, that stops War Chief. And we're trading with everything, but I think it's worth it. So 2 for 3. He just has so much value off all these chains. With the matrons and the ringleaders and everything. It's really hard to 1-for-1 him. Probably one of our worst matchups, honestly. Guess he could just attack for 2. Which makes a lot of sense. But we're okay with that. Because we just won't block. You'll post-combat War Chief. So I can still hold back Death's Head Buzzard. I can even pump Dothy twice. Or I can attack with everything in Famine. Not sure how good that is. Puts us to 7, but he takes 4, and he's also at 7. We have Dark Hatchling and Fallen Ascari as follow-ups, or I can attack for 6. He goes to 8. Then I could just die next turn, so that's pretty bad. If he follows up with Beetleback Chief, if I famine this turn, that's pretty rough for us. But then we can follow up with Dark Hatchling. I guess I kind of just have to famine here, just because he has so many explosive draws. Like if I let him untap with War Chief, he could just kill us. So I think that has to be our line. Basically, hope to draw land to stop his next play. He'd generate a bunch of mana and like kindle us or something, but I don't see that being a realistic thing. Alright, even game, except he has more cards in hand. Goblin General, awesome. Just draw a land and we're in business. We also have to be careful of Reckless Charge. So we attack and play Fallen Ascari. If he kindles us here, untaps, pays Echo, and then Reckless Charges, that's awful. But luckily he kindled our guy, so that can't happen. So now, if we just untap and draw a relevant spell, he's pretty dead. So let's do that. It's gonna be close. It really just comes down to what we draw. I mean, I have to hold back because he has Reckless Charge. This is unfortunate. Drawing the 9th land was very bad. If he plays a Beetleback, yeah. Problem with this is he has 5 damage in play no matter what. Not much we can do about that. Stripmine did good work this game. He was stuck on 3, and that really was very bad for him. He also just didn't have the patrol. It's not like he was playing around patrol or Stripmine turn 1. So I think we would have got him if he had it. Anyways, we are dead. It's unfortunate. But I think we played pretty well. I'm pretty happy with all our decision points. So that's it for this draft. And thanks for watching.